So while I was explaining that Cynthia Olvera, she paid people to have me killed, I was interrupted and needed to run some errands to get donations for myself and my baby that I'm carrying. So earlier, I was lying down here inside of the motel, and the male, he was not here. And no, he was here. He was here. I'm sorry. The male, he was here, and we were lying down in the bed. Now, we are not having sex with one another. We are splitting the ring. He does like me. And he is making advances at me a lot. So we were laying in the bed and we were just kind of resting. I was on my cell phone and I was on my YouTube and I was telling about uh, everything that's going on about this woman, Cynthia, and my son, Melbourne, my family, a gang, and this so-called hit that they put on me with a gang called the Illuminati. Cynthia, and she is the mother of my child's father, and she's gotten him involved with the Illuminati, or he's gotten himself involved. They both are, and so are my family members, as well as a lot of other people in the country. So I was explaining, I'm going to leave a comment in the description box that I was working on because I had to edit the comment. It was about an investigator. I need people to find an investigator. His name is Sheriff Jim McDougal, and he was working for my lawyer, Ingrid Chandler, about a shooting where I shot my child's father in the leg in self-defense. And he found evidence that I was protecting myself. And he has pretty much run off with information about my pregnancy. So now I'm asking for people to find him in order to expose the truth about what's going on with my channel and my lawsuit and of my medical care. So I also was explaining that Cynthia Olvera, she never planned to return my son to me when I was released on the charges for shooting her son, Austin Metter. He's a Caucasian male. Cynthia said that she was raping him while I was in the jail. She had him pretending that she was his grandmother. And she is actually not even the biological mother of Austin. She's his adopted mother. So she's not even technically my child's biological grandmother at all. And she was raping him. And it was very demonic. She did a ritual with a clan, the Ku Klux Klan. And she told me that she had already done it. She told me that she had been raping and sodomizing my son with the Ku Klux Klan. And so Cynthia never planned to return him. She told me that she raped him to death. She told me that they were raping him still when she told me, and she told me they were raping him to death when she told me. And then she went to a judge while I was still in the jail on the charges, and she asked a family court judge that was not the judge that was allowing them to hold me on the criminal charges, Patty Maginus. She went to a white male judge, and at this point, I do believe he's in the Ku Klux Klan, and his name is Tracy Gilbert in Conroe, Texas. She did that and had Tracy Gilbert allowed them to lie in his courtroom about the evidence about why I shot Austin, that it was over my son, and I was protecting my little boy and myself from Austin. So investigator Jim McDougal found out the information, and he also knew that I was pregnant. But Jim McDougal allowed them to lie about that in a family courtroom. And then they said they were raping my baby to death while I was in the jail, while he was allowing them to lie in the family courtroom. And they were trying to murder me in the jail while saying they were gang raping my son. And then trying to have Tracy Gilbert involved with saying that they had custody of my son. And then they tried to send me back into the jail and murder me pregnant after this custody hearing inside of the Montgomery County Jail in Conroe, Texas, where the shooting happened. The entire jail said they were raping him. The entire police department said they were raping him with Cynthia. So they were trying to have me dead in my cell for 8 months after they told me they were raping him. And they did the custody hearing throughout that time frame that they said they were raping him while I was incarcerated. And they said they had my family involved to know that they were raping him. My family told me as well. They told me together. And then they said they were all setting me up to be murdered inside of the jail. And so I was released on the charges August 2019. And they set a custody hearing to say that in December 2019 I could get my son back through this white male's courtroom if I brought him the evidence, which is what he said when I was in the jail. He said, bring him the 911 calls and stuff, but he wasn't the criminal judge. And I asked my lawyer, Ingrid Chandler, to come into his courtroom to tell him that she was my lawyer and that he could not allow Austin Metter, the male that I shot, and his mother to have my son in their custody because Austin was a danger to my son. And she refused. Ingrid Chandler said she could not do that. And Ingrid Chandler had told me that she had been letting the Ku Klux Klan rape my son with Cynthia. She told me that she was letting them rape him when they all told me they were raping him for racism because I shot him. And she was my lawyer, telling me that she was involved with raping my child with the Ku Klux Klan and Cynthia. So then they tried to set me up to be murdered, my lawyer. So it's been very hard for me to talk about it because I knew that I couldn't trust Ingrid Chandler. And I knew what she had done. So when I asked her to come into the family courtroom to represent me after they said they were raping him so that I could keep my baby, I was afraid because I was starved. They were back there starving me and threatening to cut out my tongue and all kind of stuff. And it was spiritual wickedness. They were doing witchcraft, the Ku Klux Klan. And my lawyer was doing the witchcraft with them. Cynthia was doing it. My family, the entire country, because I'm a black woman that shot a white man. So they all said they were all raping my baby to death. And they all said that they were letting them do it. So they did the family court hearing and brought me in there starved and pregnant, where I had been inside of the cell for several months, and they were tampering with the food and the drinks, trying to cover up that I was pregnant. They were saying that I was a mental patient and telling me that I was not pregnant. And God was saying that, yeah, you are pregnant, but they're trying to kill you because you're black and you shot this white male, but you're not guilty. You were protecting yourself, and the Lord represented me to get me out, and he fought them in the spirit. And Ingrid Chandler did not want me to be released on the charges because she was saying that I shot a gun. And I was released on the charges. And she was crying in the courtroom when I was released. But she did not help me to get my son. And when I went to the custody hearing in December 2019 to have him returned to me, they framed me to be outside, so that when I went to the custody hearing, they could just illegally, which is what God said, say that Cynthia Olvera could have permanent custody of my son, and she said she raped him to death with the Ku Klux Klan. It's sirens going off all around me of these Ku Klux Klan members in the country trying to cover it up as I'm telling the information right now on my camera. But that's okay. They do it every day, all day, because they're trying to cover it up. Then it seems like the entire country. But I can see it on some people's face that it's wrong. And they know that it's wrong when they see me in public. So, Cynthia kept my baby, or she raped him to death, because I called Cynthia after the custody hearing, or before. Yeah, I called her on the phone, and I wanted to speak to my son. And he was 3 years old, and God said they tried to set me up to be murdered because they gave my 3-year-old away illegally. They gave my 3-year-old away. He was 3 years old when Tracy Gilbert did that in December 2019 in Conroe, Texas, in a family courtroom, 3 months after I was released on the charges. And Shakina Jones, she framed me with them because I was at her home for a week trying to stay with her until I could get him. But Shakina had already told me that she was letting them rape him while I was in the jail. So she was also trying to help them cover up that I was pregnant, and she's still trying to cover up the pregnancy with them. So she had told me to leave her house knowing that the baby was alive, and then tried to have them lie and say that it was not alive at a ultrasound studio called Expectation Studios here in Houston, Texas, I believe, on Richmond Avenue. And God told me that they followed her when she took me up there, when I asked her to take me to get proof of the ultrasound that the baby was alive. God told me that Shakina could see the baby moving. I heard God come out of me. God told me that that she could feel the baby moving, that she could see it moving. Amen. That she could see the baby moving, that she could see what y'all see, the kicking, that she saw it, and she deliberately lied to me. When I said, Shakina, can you feel it? And I put her hand there. And I already knew that she set me up to be murdered in the jail, and that she knew I was pregnant. But she looked me in my face, and she put her hand on my belly. She said, I never seen anything like that before. But when we got to her house, after I asked her could I stay with her when I was released on the charges, Shakina told me when I was at her house, after they, or right before or after they lied about the ultrasound, Shakina put her hand on my stomach in her home when I was staying in her daughter's room after I was released on the charges. And she told me that she could not feel anything. Then she took me to a ultrasound studio. I made an appointment, and I asked my family that tried to set me and the baby up to be murdered in the jail, Andrew and Larissa in Atlanta and Shakina here in Texas, if they could give me the $40 because I had just got out of the jail, so I could go get the ultrasound, and they didn't want to give it to me. So I went off on Andrew Johns, my so-called dad. I don't think he's my biological because my mother said that he's not. She passed away, but she said she was sure, almost. And my sister, Larissa, she's my older sister. She did not want to give me the money, and she knew that I was pregnant, and she knew they were lying because she knew that they all tried to set me up to be murdered pregnant in the jail for Austin's leg because I shot him in the leg. And she knew that they said they were raping my son, and she knew that the baby was alive, and she knew what they tried to do, and she knew that I knew that she tried to do it, but I was released on the charges. So they had went into my apartment, Austin and Cynthia, and took all of my stuff out of my apartment. And Cynthia went to my landlord and had them break my lease. And so they just told me they were raping my baby. And when I got out of the jail on the charges, I didn't have anywhere to go. So the shelters, they wouldn't let me come to the shelters after the custody hearing, so that I could stay to get my son from Cynthia, because they said that Cynthia was going to rape him to death with the Ku Klux Klan for racism. And then they said they were going to set me up to be murdered, and that they were going to mutilate me and my son and my baby that I'm carrying. And my family said they were going to let them do that because he was white, that they were going to be in on it, and they're still in on it. But I have, I have my God, and that's a hard pill to swallow when he is all that you have. You know, when he's the only one in your corner, but who better to have than God? So Larissa and Shakina gave me the money eventually, and I had $40. That's what the ultrasound supposedly cost, because all the other places were saying that you need a doctor to confirm that you are pregnant in order for us to even give you an ultrasound. So I already knew that I was pregnant. I had someone confirm it in the jail after they were lying about it. Charge nurse Michelle did an ultrasound with a Doppler machine. And she confirmed that I was pregnant with Nurse Stephanie and the doctor and a police officer that was inside of the jail. And they were racist, and the Ku Klux Klan still had them lie about it at Conroe Regional Hospital. And in Conroe, Texas, where I gave birth to my son Melbourne, that they said they raped to death. In Conroe, Texas, with Cynthia and in Magnolia, saying that they were trafficking him from Magnolia, Texas, from Cynthia's to be raped to death in the jail in Conroe, Texas, by the Ku Klux Klan and gangs, and that they were raping them at her house and I don't know what other locations. But I have seen them doing rituals, raping them in the spirit as well. And I've seen that a couple of times. And Cynthia told me during that ritual, and she showed me spiritual sexual wickedness with my son. And then while she was doing witchcraft, telling me that she was raping him when they tried to have me murdered. But they've been doing that. They're continuing to try to get away with it. So I like this angle better. I just plugged up my phone, but I like this angle better. So, Cynthia, I want to tell y'all about what's going on with this room and everything, but I really feel like I just need to tell y'all more about Cynthia. So, Cynthia, she told me that she was raping him, and they had lied about the ultrasound, and they're trying to act like they befriended Cynthia. So, my sisters they say they got Cynthia's number from my dad while I was in the jail from Andrew, and then they so called befriended her and decided that they were gonna try to set me up to be murdered with Cynthia for shooting her son. And then they decided that they were gonna try to set my baby up that I'm carrying to be murdered because I shot him in the leg with Cynthia, in the Ku Klux Klan and the Black Freemason Brotherhood. So I got the $40, and I went up to the place because they didn't want me to have a doctor confirm, because they had 4 hospitals say that I was not pregnant. After I was released on the charges, I went to Bentop Hospital, St. Luke's Hospital, and I went to Conroe Regional. No, I went to Conroe Regional Hospital while I was in the jail. They lied while I was in the jail. So this is why the other hospitals are trying to help cover it up as well. It's a lie because I shot a white male, so that's why they're doing it. That's why they're lying. So Bentop Hospital, they refused the ultrasound, and said that I was not pregnant. St. Luke's Hospital, they did the same thing, and they tried to crush the baby when you can see it moving, and when I asked them to feel it, He tried to crush it and say that I was not pregnant. He was like, "You're not pregnant," from and saying that I was not pregnant. And then I asked him to do an ultrasound and feel it moving. And he put his hand on my belly and was like, "What makes you think you're pregnant?" And then I have the video. He said, "What makes you think you're pregnant?" And then he said, "Where's the pain? Is it here?" And he tried to push and hurt it. And I said, "I never said I was in pain." And I grabbed his hand. I said, "I'm not in pain. If you just touch softly and stop pressing, don't press. You can feel it moving." And I knew he was trying to hurt it. So I panicked and I said, "I got to hurry up and get out of here." And they did try to harm us off of the hospital grounds here in Houston, Texas. So I went to this ultrasound studio with Shakina before I went to St. Luke's and Ben Top, actually, because I wanted to get proof on my own that I was pregnant from what they had done in the jail. And Shakina asked me when I made the appointment, "Hey, Andre," and my name's Andrea. She's, "Dre, so where is your uh, appointment going to be at?" I asked her to take me because I didn't have my car. I didn't have a car anymore either when I got out on the charges. And I had a vehicle. And Shakina was like, "I'll take you, but where are you going?" I said, "It's in 2 days." So I didn't want to tell her. I wanted to wait until the day and just tell her what time I needed to leave. But she asked me where it was and when, and I told her where it was and when. But I already knew what she was going to try to do. That she was going to be involved with helping them lie about my ultrasound at the location, and that she would tell the information about where I was going to get it so they could lie about it. And that's what she did. Well, I'll tell you what happened. She asked me when I went in there. I got the ultrasound. The lady was pressing down hard, trying to hurt the baby with the ultrasound device, and saying that she didn't see a baby. I was trying to look at the screen and everything. They didn't want to do the ultrasound on camera, and then they gonna keep trying to lie about it, even if they do the ultrasound on camera. They'll try to do something to mess with the screen or something. But as y'all can see, even if it's too big, it's been in there a while. I don't know. Maybe it's too small. I don't know. So, but I know a pregnancy. So, it's other ways to determine the pregnancy. If you don't see it on the ultrasound, baby, if you see the baby kicking on you, the girl needs a doctor. That's the fucking point. I need a doctor. And I've been refused because they were lying about it and trying to kill it. And so Cynthia said she put a hit out on the baby. The camera might cut off because the phone is saying I don't have that much storage. But follow me. Just keep tuning in to everything, and I'll keep telling y'all what's going on, and it's already on my channels anyway. So when they were giving me the donations in the store, I was crying. You know what I'm saying? Inside of the Walmart, I cried a couple times, because some people were very kind to me, and I didn't expect that. But when I went to the studio, the woman said that I was not pregnant, and I asked her to stop because she was pressing the tool into me, and I was like, Like, I knew at that point, I was like, nah,